A sign that had been pounded into the ground in an otherwise vacant field in Brentwood, New Hampshire, about 60 years ago read, "Opening soon, New England Dragway. Call Jack Doyle." And then there was a phone number. His hand is on the shovel in the track's groundbreaking photo. He was the on-site person during construction to make sure that the bulldozers and the backhoes did what they were supposed to do as they built the place. He became the track's first general manager. Jack Doyle is basically at the base of drag racing in New England. The Maratta Award, which he'll receive this afternoon, is the oldest in NEAR. Begun in 1981, it honors those who have made outstanding contributions to the sport of auto racing in New England. Frank Maratta made his own mark in that regard with his car shows and also by constructing the Connecticut Dragway. How appropriate then that this year's Maratta Award goes to someone who has contributed so much to drag racing in New England. New England Dragway remains the only surviving club-built drag strip in all of America. Those who enjoy the racing there owe a huge debt to Jack Doyle, who for more than 50 years has done everything he could think of to ensure that track's health. He was one of the track's first shareholders. He still owns those shares. He had the vision of what could become of the empty fields in the towns of Brentwood and Epping, New Hampshire. To this day, Jack is one of the track's strongest supporters. At every NASCAR race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, you'll see a big van parked right on Route 106, so everybody going to the oval track knows about drag racing. It is the New England Dragway van, and Jack parks it there for every single race, so every single oval track person knows about it. And by the way, he parked it right up front here today as well. That's a tough page to turn. Doyle was also a racer. He built his first race car in 1953. He worked with engines, built cars, and he drove them. Starting with oval track racing, which he left because he didn't like the fights when the races were over at Hudson, Jack set records like the one in his Mighty Mouse car, in which he set the 1320 national speed record in 1959. In 1968, his top gas car, driven by Don Roberts, turned a frightening run for the times, 189 miles an hour in a sub-9 second pass. In the same year, Roberts set the track record at New England Dragway in Doyle's car, and he did it again in 1971. As a driver, Jack Doyle set a track record at Sanford, Maine. He built some of the strangest, wildest, fastest drag cars of their time. His Fiat-bodied, blown Chrysler-powered car was so cool, it was the subject of a 3-page story in the June 1960 issue of Hot Rod magazine. Jack Doyle is one of the most honorable men in the history of New England motorsports. He has given of himself for the betterment of the sport since he was a kid. His contributions have been recognized elsewhere before this honor today. Those contributions include, in 2008, he was admitted to the Oriental's Hot Rod Club Hall of Fame. In 2015, he was presented with the NHRA Museum Board of Directors Award for extraordinary contributions to drag racing. In 2016, Jack Doyle was inducted into drag racing's Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, one of New England Dragway's greatest treasures, Jack Doyle.
Thank you, Dick. I actually have in my hand here an old newspaper, and it shows one of the times that Frank Maratta had Mario Andretti there at Connecticut Dragway for a promotional deal. And he was always ahead of us in promotion stuff because he had a real lot of sharp stuff going on. But I did actually really know Frank because we were building about the same time. And I can remember when he had a body shop with like an ugly pink 40 Ford or whatever it might have been years and years ago. He is in our New England Dragway Hall of Fame. And I'm instructed that we only have about 5 minutes, so I'll try to go as quick as I can, and they'll be all disconnected words. You have to put it together on your way home. If I don't mention the museum, Dick will never say anything good about me again. So we'd like to see all of you at the museum at some point in time. And the dragway is still continuing on. Yesterday, we actually were setting up for a flea market for today, which is a far cry from an NHRA national event around the 4th of July that's upcoming. And yes, we did start at Sanford and just progressed all the way along. And it's been a great ride. And the museum deal has kind of rejuvenated my career because it's so nice to see. And I only know a few of you here, but we're all kind of in the same church. We're just in a different pew, if you will. So that the basic intent has been the automobiles of one kind or another. And at the museum currently, there's actually one of the sleds that won an Olympic medal when it was one of the first modern sleds there. And probably the other extreme is the Stanley steamer that's on display there. So, and dragway now, of course, a lot of you people have gone on to other things and other interests, or retired or taking it easy, and we're actually still fighting now to get the audience in, one customer at a time. And we run diesel trucks, and the junior dragsters, you can start as young as 5 years old, and we're trying to perpetuate the place, because most of our owners are relatively the same age group. And we can just keep plugging away, and of course now it's the same as before. You just add a few more dollar signs on each year and keep going. But it's a great ride, and as most of you know that, it's very nice. And sitting with some people today from some of the other tracks, it's a great honor. And I always forget, and I made a double point today because I do want to get home tonight, that my wife Mabel, who was selling tickets from so many at the dragway, and I think she kept all the money, I hope, but as it turned out, she put it all in the till, so we have to keep going. And if you go to the museum, quite often you'll see her selling tickets there. So it's, I guess we're lucky on my part to have someone that'll, what are you doing today? Oh, we'll take a ride to Connecticut this morning. Oh, okay, let's go, and away we go. So it's a great ride, and I'm sure you people are enjoying yourself, and I'm very glad to be in this new group. We'd like to see some more connections between the museum and the various. I saw the Main Antique Group's picture of their trailer today. Try to get that around the museum sometime, and of course your own rig, to have that on display up there at some time. And just anything we can to keep the thing going and keeping it alive. And I wish those of you that are still active in things, keep hanging on, because it's still a lot of fun. We have all the lucky things of, we still have, frozen hamburgers that did we unfreeze enough for the week? It's going to rain. Oh, gee, we better do this. We've had car shows that died, and we ate frozen pizza for the winter, and all the silly stuff that goes on. And I was very happy. There used to be 3 people in Don Garlitz's Hall of Fame from New England, and Jimmy King from Rhode Island and Don Marshall from Rhode Island have both passed away, so I'm kind of the only New England representative still. So even if I wanted to throw in the towel, I can't. And that was about the gist of it. Enough plugs for the New England Dragway, and Probably hardly any of you ever go there, but I don't care. Of course I do, but we get the kids now and the junior dragsters and, et cetera, and we tried to copy the museum. It's kind of like Bentley Warren's home museum, if you will, so other than going there and be generous and envious of it and everything. And when we had our groundbreaking for the museum, everybody wondered why Bentley wasn't there, because it was really odd that he wasn't. He had a big piece of equipment there and did some digging and everything, but he had to keep it secret, because the day of our groundbreaking, the Bush family was actually at his saloon for lunch. And of course, that had to be kept on the QT. And that the late Barbara Bush even survived his room with 400 bras hanging from the ceiling. It wasn't quite her thing, but she didn't walk out on it either, though. But that was certainly a good reason for Bentley not to be at our own groundbreaking. And I guess that's about all. I don't see any hook yet, but it'll be coming soon. So whoever is to speak next, thank you very much for honoring me today. And it's been glad to accept these honors in behalf of New England Dragway. And we just keep going now with kids, flea markets, diesel direct, twin turbocharged Hondas, and whatever it takes, because there's so few people left that can really build a car or paint a car, or say like the older, like a Frank Maratta who could do it all. There's not many of that type of people left, so it's anybody can keep writing checks, but even that's okay, because then they have a vehicle they're running, even if they just paid out for it. I think that's all I got, so I'll turn it back over. Thanks again.